don't have anything. It will be very difficult to not eat anything that you enjoy, not have your sweets, not have your drinks. Have it in balance. And anyone who trains regularly, they know they always look forward to their once every fortnight or once every month cheat day. Do that. That's fine. But make it a cheat day rather than a cheat every day. Okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about sugar, salt, meat products, and I think I would be surprised if anyone in this room hasn't attempted to diet. And how do we do it? As usual, we do everything really badly and in extreme fashion. So we get up in the morning, we're not going to have anything to eat. We don't have anything for lunch, don't have anything for dinner. We're like, yeah, we can do this. Come the evening, we are in agony. We raid the fridge, absolutely stuff ourselves, then we can't breathe, and we regret it the next day, and we say, the diet doesn't work for me. Ramadan is that perfect opportunity where we know we're not going to eat during the day. Intermittent fasting. How many people, hands up, who's heard of intermittent fasting? How many people, hands up, have done intermittent fasting? It is no different to fasting in Ramadan, something our Prophet ﷺ told us about 1400 years ago. So we'll touch on that a little bit about how that's useful. Sleep. A lot of us, most of us will still work during Ramadan. I certainly find it a little annoying when people at work are the ones who make the biggest fuss as Muslims during Ramadan. Don't talk to me. I'm angry. I'm hangry. Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear it. That's not the way. I don't think that's ever a representation of our Prophet ﷺ or the Salaf when they would fast. In fact, we know of numerous narrations from the Salaf where they would have food packed for them on their way to work, and they would give that to some poor people, and they would be fasting for years, and no one in their family knew they were fasting. That is the fast we should all be aiming for. So then there are some other vices that we may have. So obviously there's the food. Then there's the vices. Some people smoke. Now, regardless of the legal ruling on or the permissibility of it, I think the majority scholars now agree that it is haram. But regardless of that, we know for sure it is a direct cause of cancers, strokes, heart disease, and various other medical problems. Some Muslims will also drink alcohol, take illegal drugs. First and foremost, I would say those of us who are sitting here or listening, don't start putting them down, insulting them, humiliating them, judging them. Show them love, show them respect, show them encouragement. That could be any of our children, it could be anyone in our community, and all they need is that little bit of encouragement and love, and that this month may be the time that they end all of it. And we know even those who smoke all the time, they don't smoke during Ramadan, or they don't smoke during the time where they're fasting. That's about 16 hours, sometimes in the UK close to 20 hours. It just shows that if someone tries to discipline themselves, they can give up these vices. Muslim health inequalities. Muslims throughout the UK, we know that there is a generally, not necessarily here, not specifically in certain places, but generally it's associated with higher levels of social deprivation. That can lead to medical problems, but also a lot of Muslims, and genetically, we are more prone to becoming obese. Deprivation is associated with obesity because of the unhealthy foods involved, physical inactivity. And we all know we're in an era where everything is electronic, online. So we've seen children in our own homes sitting from morning till evening in front of their tablet doing stuff. Getting them out of that couch to go and run outside or walk is a battle. Smoking obviously is associated with social deprivation, and our communities, especially those who are in socially deprived areas, are 5 times sometimes more likely to develop diabetes and eat less healthy food. And that comes hand in hand with social deprivation. But along with that, genetically, we are also more prone to heart disease, hypertension, high blood pressure, and diabetes. And some people are surprised when they have high blood cholesterol levels, where they think, well, I don't look very overweight. And actually, it's because a lot of us, the way we develop, the way we store fat, we store it sort of internally a lot more than sort of the Caucasian population. So therefore, we're more prone to developing heart disease, even with a small amount of fat in our tummy. And we'll think about ways of how to tackle that. And then, of course, there are Muslims on medication. A lot of Muslims are on medication for their blood pressure, for their diabetes, for their asthma, for their heart disease. And of course, I think the Sheikh went through some of those rulings. Sometimes you absolutely cannot fast, especially if things have changed compared to last year, where you are now, someone has unfortunately had a heart attack or a stroke, and they're on, for example, on blood thinners and so on. The medication, I think the general opinion is that if you can change the cycle and move it to having those same medication at night, it is allowed. Otherwise, you should not be fasting, because obviously that can result in worsening of your medical conditions. Okay, but obviously a little headache, a little bit of pain is not a get out of jail card for not fasting. Oh, I need to take a paracetamol, so I'm not going to fast. I think you can fool anyone. You can fool as many people as you want, but ultimately you can't fool Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala knows exactly what's in your heart. If it's a good reason, then of course you don't have to fast. I'm not going to sit here and give advice regarding each individual type of medical condition. So if you do have a medical condition, do what any sensible person would. Consult your doctor and consult a scholar. I am certainly not one. We've got enough learned people in this masjid. Or consult someone whom you trust, along with medical advice, put them together and come up with your conclusion as to whether or not fasting, you should be fasting. So I think Sheikh has gone through very beautifully why we fast, and no one can take this away from us. The first and foremost and most important reason is because Allah has commanded us, because Allah has ordained this. He has stipulated in the Quran, and it was made obligatory by our Prophet ﷺ. That's enough reason for us to fast. And of course, we went through the reward of the fast, which we don't know. And we will all, inshallah, be pleasantly surprised on the Day of Judgment when we are rewarded with our fast, for our fasts. Any secondary medical benefit is secondary. And if fasted appropriately and you have a game plan for the month where you alter your habits, you give up your vices, you remain active, then you will see by the end of the month, clearly your tummy may go flatter. You will lose some weight. You will feel surprisingly a bit more energetic. Your blood cholesterol can go down. Your blood pressure can go down, especially discussing a little later. Salt, halving your salt intake can reduce your blood pressure by 10 millimeters of mercury. The fact that you have disciplined yourself over the month, you will be more mentally resilient, which is very important. And of course, controlling your unhealthy habits. So planning, how can we sort of plan this? Compared to last year, look through what has changed. I think we've discussed the spiritual benefits, of course, achieving taqwa, no doubt. That is the most important purpose of fasting. Gain as much reward as possible. Dhikr, perfect our remembrance. We all know when we fast, we don't generally want to engage in idle talk. At work, when people are just gossiping, we just ignore them, walk away, do our own thing, do our dhikr. So there's spiritual benefits without a doubt. And of course, training ourselves in this month to maintain those good spiritual habits over the course of the rest of the year. Thinking about 3 others that we've mentioned, so 3 spiritual benefits and 3 material worldly benefits. Stopping our vices. So whatever is your vice, whether it's smoking, whether it's with excessive salt in your food, excessive sugars. Yusuf, that's for you. That's my son. He loves his sweets and his sugars, and I'm saying it out here. Whatever is your vice, use this as the month to reduce it and maintain that reduction over the course of the year. Improving physical activity. That may seem a bit strange. Hang on, I'm fasting. I need to store all my energy. No, you don't. No, you don't. I don't think ever our Prophet ﷺ and his companions suddenly became couch potatoes during Ramadan. They were as active during Ramadan as outside Ramadan. So all we have to do is just imitate and emulate what they have done, and we will achieve physical health and managing our weight. So think about it. Your first purpose is not to lose weight in Ramadan. Your first and most important purpose is gaining closeness to Allah, but measure your weight at the start, have a target, plan your month rather. So how can we start thinking healthy? Which areas can we focus on? Life routines. And this is not necessarily just related to food. We all have busy schedules. No one here is going to sit and say, oh, just give everything up. You can't. You also have to pay your bills. You have to run the house and so on. So all of those need to be done. Try and think of ways to sort of delegate aspects of your life that you don't have to do physically. For example, doing online shopping baskets and having that on a weekly, if you shop weekly, that will save you the time over there. Sort out your admin, your bills, and so on. Plan your meals. You don't have to be boring when you're eating. Everyone who trains regularly knows if all you have is chicken and broccoli, you will get sick of it. Just vary it. Think of varying your meals. Eat what you enjoy. But again, I'm saying slightly, I'm going beyond what they're saying here. Do what the Prophet ﷺ encouraged. Don't stuff yourself. Eat whatever you want, but in moderation. And I was telling someone the other day who was saying, I don't know how to cut carbs, for example. Now, carbohydrates is one thing we're going to discuss, a source of sugars. It is broken down into sugars and it's stored. And when you don't use up, if you take in 4,000 calories and you only burn 1,000 a day, where does the 3,000 go? It's stored. And we all love our carbs. I mean, who doesn't? With my sort of Iranian heritage, we used to have breakfast, bread, lunch, rice, dinner, rice, snacks in the middle. It's a crazy amount of carbs. And I'm sure everyone here enjoy their carbs. And I always say, try and just figure out a way that works for you. Don't just stop everything in one day because you will crave it. It's like an addiction. So put whatever you normally would put in your plate. Do that. And then immediately half what's in there in terms of carbs. It's going to be painful to see all those carbs out of your plate, but then replace that place with just cucumbers or some vegetables, something that's just water, basically. That will fill you up. Next time, over a few days, take away 2/3, reduce. That's just gradually reduce your carb intake. You will find yourself feeling actually more energetic, less tired. So think of altering these little routines. Sleep. Now, sleep is something that, of course, is going to be affected during Ramadan, especially when Tarawih was very late and Suhoor was very early. Now it's slightly different. Try and get your sleep, but think about afternoon power naps. If you can bank an hour and a half, that actually may rejuvenate you quite well. Because obviously the majority of the sleep we do, sometimes oversleeping makes you more exhausted. But think about regulating your sleep, giving yourself specific time in the afternoon, if you're able to, for a little nap. And of course, we mentioned managing health conditions. And of course, I think one of the best advantage of the of fasting is the nawafil, the rawatib, the non-obligatory fasts. And Sheikh went through this in a lot of detail. You'll find people who fast Mondays and Thursdays every week of the year, and they fast the 3 days every month, and they fast a lot of Sha'ban, and they have no trouble during Ramadan. A lot of people, you'll find the first few days is very difficult. And it just goes to show the Prophet ﷺ has given us all these sort of training for Ramadan, prior to Ramadan, a few times, not obligatory, optional, but they clearly have health benefits. And I can tell you, I have met a lot of Muslims, including myself, who've intermittently fasted for over a year. And that means just having one meal in the evening. It works. But you ask them, well, why not just make that a fast day? Just fast. For some reason, that's burdensome on them. And that is a reflection on our iman. Where for weight loss, we can intermittently fast for a year in a row. And that means nothing until the evening, where all they will have is a little bit of chicken and some vegetables. Why not just turn that into a fast day? It's kind of a waste of a fasted day.
You can have coffee on intermittent fast.
You can.
That's what makes it
But
difficult.
these are people who don't drink coffee, and they don't. Have you had any glass of water? Not really. And you find that until the end of the day, they've had nothing. Turn that into a fast. Yeah, I think these things are, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Think about any changes in your health. If you've been diagnosed with a new condition, and again, talk to the sheikhs and talk to your physicians. I mean, people talk about doing a Ramadan planner. I don't know what that is. I'm sure some more organized people know what it is. Go for it. Do whatever works for you. Exercise. So we mentioned variety in meals. We mentioned sleep. Okay. The exercise, anyone here, if we talk about exercise, they think, okay, I'm going to exercise for 2 hours vigorously, go absolutely crazy, and then they're flat for the next 7 days. Akbar's not here, is he? Yeah. Flat for the next 7 days. They can't move because they've overdone it. That's not what I'm saying to do. Do some sort of exercise every day. What could that entail? It could entail walking for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Brisk. We've got a lot of parks just around within 2 kilometers of this masjid, a lot of them. There are classes as well. Dwayne runs the boxing classes, which he said during Ramadan is not going to continue. But myself, Jamil, and Dwayne, we are planning on putting something together at least 3 days a week during Ramadan before iftar for some sort of physical activity, boxing related exercise, or just go for a jog before Ramadan, before iftar. Do something that does not entail sitting around and packing in those calories and converting all the calories you've eaten into fat. When you do sleep healthily. Get rid of your phone, get rid of your tablet. We all know that light is not healthy for us. It does impair sleep. Sleep in a quiet area, and really put your bright lights away. Because if you can organize your sleep and have a short duration of powerful sleep, it's much better than laying in bed, tossing and turning for 8 or 9 hours and not getting any decent sleep. I'm sure everyone agrees. You wake up more exhausted after that sort of sleep. And what's the first thing we do when we get into bed? We switch on our phone, we go onto YouTube, and don't watch Islamic videos in bed. Just put your phone away and get some sleep. Read your du'as before you sleep and get some sleep. That's much better for you, because then you can wake up a bit more fresh for suhoor, have something to eat, and go for Fajr. And of course, we have 5 salahs during the day. Most of us work, walk to the masjid. That will help our masjid during Ramadan, because we know it comes under a lot of criticism from the neighbors because of the noise and the closing of the doors. Perfect opportunity to build or bank those steps. You walk for Fajr and Isha, you've banked a decent number of steps, okay? And try and make it a bit of a brisk walk. If you break your fast at home and come to the masjid, don't overeat. Break it with a small amount, dates, water. Sure, pack in a pakora or samosa as well. I mean, it's difficult to resist when it smells that good and it's right there. But then brisk walk to the masjid and back home, then have your meal. You will feel fresher. Of course, your salah and staying hydrated. Hydration during Ramadan is difficult in this country, and some countries where fasting is 22 hours, you can imagine it's even harder. But during the after iftar, try and drink. It's difficult to drink a whole liter in one go, but sort of space it out. Keep, I don't know, an actual bottle with liters and milliliters on it, so you can control how much you drink, and just try and sort of intend that from iftar till sahur, I'm going to drink 2 liters, for example, and that will be the best way to sort of ensure that you've done it rather than just taking random glasses here and there. Yeah, we spoke about sleep quality. Caffeine. A lot of us drink a lot of coffee, especially anyone who is any remotely medical. That's what we need to function when we do our 48-hour shifts. Try and get rid of the caffeine. And it's very difficult to get rid of it on day 1 of Ramadan. So this is the perfect opportunity. We've got a week left, nearly, a few days, not a week, less than a week. Start drinking decaf, reducing the amount of caffeine you have during the day, or the qahwa. All of them are very, very full of caffeine, and suddenly stopping them doesn't help with the headaches. And then, of course, when you have it in the evening, you can't sleep till Fajr. So it's kind of disrupted your entire cycle. So try and get rid of the caffeine or reduce it so that during Ramadan it's not too hard. Sleep in a quiet place. Build a cycle for yourself. Build a timetable. I'm going to be doing such and such from this time to this time. Work is here. Iftar, Taraweeh, sleep, where I'm not going to hang out with my friends. And again, I'm not saying don't hang out with your friends. One of the best times in Ramadan is after you've done Taraweeh, some of us will go and grab a bite together. Of course, do it. Ramadan is a nice time, and this is a time when those who don't come to the masjid, it's a time to encourage them. And who doesn't like food? Food is a good way to encourage someone to come. They come over, you enjoy it, but just have it with moderation. Don't overdo it. As I said, whatever you put in your plate, half it. Then you'll probably feel a little bit better. And of course, don't enjoy every night, but enjoy enough that you do actually make Ramadan a social experience, a socialization experience as well with your friends and brothers and sisters. We spoke about coffee, forming a habit. So for these 29 to 30 days, if you slowly start gradually building up a habit, it's much more likely to stick. And we're talking about not a diet, we're talking about a lifestyle change. We all need that. And especially the young ones from your age, you may be one of those who will eat anything and never put on weight. You're lucky, good for you. Wait till you hit 25. That's not going to last. Certainly when you go over 35. If you try and encourage a lifestyle change, then you won't crave carbs. You won't crave too much sugar. Occasionally you'll want it, go for it, but you won't crave it. Just create a lifestyle change rather than going through that mindset that I need to diet. You don't need to diet. You need to start your journey through a lifestyle change, getting rid of vices, stopping smoking, stopping alcohol, reducing salt intake, and reducing sugar. Simple things like reducing salt and sugar, and altering how we cook as well. And of course, that requires a lot of discipline. If we manage to discipline ourselves during Ramadan, it'll be very easy afterwards. Small changes make a big difference here. We don't need to go through a lot of detail. So eating healthy, this is a chart from the NHS side, but essentially what I would say is have a balanced diet, have the right amount of sugars, have the right amount of salt, have the right amount of carbs, have the right amount of protein. Meat is a big part of our lives. How many people have meat twice a day? 3 times a day? Yeah, it's part of our culture. But we know it wasn't the part of the Prophet's culture at all. They were vegetarian for a huge proportion of the week and then occasionally have meat, which was a luxury. And there's something to be said about that. And even the Prophet discouraged eating too much red meat. And we know red meat can also lead to health conditions. So, and then the type of meat we eat. Do we eat processed things? Do we eat hot dogs? Do we eat burgers? Do we go for those kind of stuff? Canned food? Sometimes it's difficult because of cost not to have those. But then a lot of us in our cooking, we will pack it full of salt. That's something I know when I have some of my neighbors, whenever we give them food in London, they pour salt on it. They're like, your food is too bland. Okay, so it's just, I don't know, I don't taste that because over years it's been very difficult, but we tried to reduce the salt. Food high in cholesterol. Now, let's have a think. What have we had recently? Red meat, egg yolks, ice cream, milkshakes, cream cheese, burgers, fried chicken, all the things we love and enjoy. Yeah. So who wants to go for a burger after this? Yeah. There we are. So all the things we love and enjoy. I'm not saying completely stop them. I'm saying have them in moderation. Have your cheat meal once every 2 weeks. Of course, enjoy it. Once every week, enjoy it. But don't make it a habit. Don't raid the fridge and then order takeaway and order pizza. Or tell your parents, I'm going out to play football with my friends, and then go down to the takeaway and stuff yourself with burgers. It's going to affect your blood cholesterol levels. When you're cooking at home, for those of you who do cook, try and change the way you cook. Use more grilling, baking, air frying compared to deep frying. And we all know deep fried food tastes delicious, but moderation. I'm not saying stop it. If you can stop it, it'll be better, but moderation. It's all about moderation. Okay? Use of healthier oils, for example. Don't use too much ghee when you're cooking. That's bad for you. And then sugar. We know what sugar can cause, too excessive can result in, of course, excessive amount of any eating, and cholesterol can lead to type 2 diabetes. And of course, diabetes has a host of health effects and impacts, which are just detrimental to the individual. And of course, they can lead to strokes and heart attacks as well. So reduce your carbs. Try to avoid sugars that will cause sudden spikes, such as sugar, like the ones that we enjoy. Try and have those more complex ones. Try and have drinks without sugars. And fresh fruits and juices, they definitely have sugars, okay? But have them over Coca-Cola or Pepsi or all the very, very intensely sugary drinks. Meat, I think we spoke about it. Try and think of alternatives. You do need a source of protein, of course, and anyone who's exercising will need a lot of protein. So think about having your protein, but just alter where you get it from. It doesn't have to be red meat all the time. White meat is healthier. Fish is healthier. Tofu is an excellent source of protein, and if you cook it well, it actually tastes quite nice. Think about having a few meat-free days. Think of lentils, having lentils and beans instead of meat. I'm not saying don't stop it. I'm sure a lot of people do enjoy having their meat, but reduce it. Try and have a few meat-free days. I know that's difficult. And then oral health. We all talk about medical health. We all talk about our body, but very little emphasis is placed on oral health. So how many people regularly, daily floss their teeth? You see, and actually most of your surface areas between the teeth that we miss. Floss, and that results in bad breath. And of course, when you get decay and various dental conditions, that can impact on the heart and cause other medical conditions. So brush your teeth regularly, certainly before sleeping, before suhoor, after you've had anything to eat, but do floss your teeth as well. Try and make it a daily habit, okay? And we have the beautiful tradition in Islam of the miswak. Now, I'm going to ask Sheikh Rafi. I've heard conflicting opinions. When I was in Saudi, they used to use the siwak comfortably throughout the day, and I used to do the same. And then others I've heard say you can't do it. You can't.
While fasting.
Sorry, while you're fasting. But what about when the bits break off and you end up swallowing them?
You try to avoid swallowing it. If you accidentally do it, it's fine. But
there we are. So we have the siwak. One of the it maintains a good breath and it keeps your teeth clean. SubhanAllah. Again, this is something that our Prophet ﷺ did such long ago. He would clean his teeth. Oral health and body health. And get rid of fizzy drinks, please. And I think moving healthy, we spoke about this. Try and set a routine for yourself. There has to be exercise daily. And I'm not saying heavyweight lifting, HIIT exercises. If you can do that and your body is used to it, please do. If there's some others in the masjid with you who are gym goers, a lot of us will be going an hour, hour and a half before iftar to the gym or to the local park for sprinting and for some sort of exercise. That's the perfect opportunity, because we know when you fast after 8 hours, you've used up all your gut store of energy, and now your body starts looking at alternative means of energy. And where does it get it from? From fat. So it starts burning fat. It's why intermittent fasting works. It's why you lose weight with it and you actually lose fat. So packing in some exercise before iftar is a good way to end your fast. You'll be very hungry after it. Or after Taraweeh, go for half an hour, do something. Whatever works for you, just set a timetable with someone, pair up, buddy up with someone. Doing it on your own is very difficult. You need the motivation. You need that bit of healthy jealousy, I call it, where you want to compete with the other one and be faster or quicker or stronger. Do that. It's much healthier. But build some kind of routine for yourself in terms of that. Yeah, I mean, there's various recommendations. 10,000 steps is really nothing. It genuinely is not much. But these are some NHS daily recommendations. 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous intent. So there's various recommendations you can find, but do something regularly and buddy up with someone. Yeah, I mean, there's some ideas. I think we spoke about these. We don't need to go through that. And then health conditions. The BIMA has produced various guidelines for various health conditions during Ramadan. It's on their website. Go and look it up. And of course, there's no shortage of advice from people in this masjid and from all your own scholars. And Rafi went through a list of all of the medical things, such as transdermal patches. So transdermal patches do not have any nutritional value. So as far as I know, they are permitted. So even if that's a nicotine patch to help with the craving, it should be fine. In terms of anesthesia, I think I have to caveat that, because a general anesthesia involves giving drugs and also giving intravenous fluids. So if intravenous fluids are given, that will nullify the fast. But I think it'll be very difficult when someone's having an emergency operation to fast. Generally, there'll be an agreement for them not to fast, have their medical treatment and make up for it later. But things that don't have nutritional value, they're permitted, including insulin, which you've gone through already, so I'm not going to go through it. And then we just touch on some of the common situations. If you get an acute illness, of course, that needs to be managed appropriately by consulting your physician. Heartburn or reflux. Now, it seems a bit strange where you get heartburn or reflux when you don't eat, but I think it's because when we eat, we overeat and we stuff ourselves, and we're standing for Taraweeh, we can't stand up. It's so painful, or we can't even stand up straight. Limit the amount you eat. There are also medication you can have for heartburn or reflux. Obviously, my recommendation would be alter your diet, alter what you put in your diet, and of course, there's medication for heartburn or reflux. Headaches, there's so many reasons why those could be. There's a list of causes of headaches. If it's a new onset headache, you need to seek medical advice. If it's related to dehydration or food, lack of food, I think Rafi's gone through that in a bit of detail, what you do regarding illnesses. Constipation is a problem, so think about having high fiber diet or something with more fiber in it, so fruits, vegetables, brown bread rather than white. Think about improving the fiber in your diet, because constipation is bad. It's uncomfortable, and also it obviously can have some surgical conditions related to it. And hydration, I think we spoke about. Hay fever, the pollen count when we're going towards the summer, it's going to be high. So for those of you who suffer from it, think about trying to firstly manage it. Use of antihistamines, so earlier, so 2 weeks before from now, if you take it regularly, and think of using things like honey. They have they have natural sort of antihistamines in it. So manage that appropriately. And sometimes if it's too much and it's difficult to handle, then of course take advice from the scholars. If you are newly diagnosed with a condition compared to last Ramadan, you definitely need to set up a meeting with your doctor and think about how your Ramadan can impact on it. Because of course, if you are on blood thinners or you're on multiple medication for controlling your blood pressure or whatever, that cannot be altered to the night, then obviously you should not be fasting, because that can have quite negative impact on your health. But do speak to your doctor. Sometimes you can alter the pattern and have it at night, especially given now we're going to have how many hours of not fasting? It's going to be like 7 hours, right?
Yeah, it's going to be like 8 to 4, so yeah, 8 hours.
8 hours-ish. Okay, so obviously when it was only 5 hours or 4 hours, that was very difficult, but talk to your physician and see if medication can be altered. But of course, just because if you are one who's not fasting, it doesn't mean you can't take part in the spiritual activities of Ramadan and Taraweeh and dhikr and Quran and so on. Allah only burdens you what you can handle. All the other illnesses, ask a professional. Yeah, we spoke about this, and I think that's it, because I don't want to go on and on for ages. Essentially, the conclusion of all of this is plan your month from now. You've got a few days. Plan your lifestyle change. Do enjoy time with your friends. Do enjoy time eating whatever you eat outside your cheat days. Balance it. Modify what you eat, try and modify how you cook, and please exercise a bit more. And weigh yourselves at the start of Ramadan, end of Ramadan, and when you see that actually you feel fresher, you feel healthier, you feel rejuvenated, and you've lost some weight, hopefully that will be an encouragement to continue good habits over the course of the rest of the year, inshallah. And thank you. Any questions at all? It's 10:30.
Somebody's messaged me with a question. Ask him what to eat to lower HbA1c.
HbA1c. So that is so there's several aspects related to that. Diet control, exercise, but also ensuring your diabetes is under control. So they need to be taking their medication appropriately. And it's not something that can be fixed overnight. It's something that it improves over the course of months. And that's essentially determines, well, it tells us the long-term diabetes control. And if it's high, it means they're just not controlling it well. They're not taking the medication well. They're not abstaining from the foods that they're supposed to. And so it's a combination of lifestyle change, food, exercise, and controlling your diabetes. Jazakallah khair.